Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Montesa series. Let's get engine building.
Well, I thought it'd be pretty remiss of me if, while the engine was out, I didn't just take a few more bits off and at least deal with some of the rust and flaky paint. I really don't want another project because I've got so many of those on, so I can't strip it fully down and send that away and powder coat it. I haven't the time or the money, or So I've done my best with my little 90-degree sander, just taking off all the flaky bits. And it turns out the original powder coat, there's no primer or anything, so a lot of it was rusty underneath, so I've just taken all the flaky bits off. So I'm just going to give it a quick going over with some red hammerite and see if we can improve it a little bit. So as you can see, I have repaired the casing damage. It wasn't magnesium. I did a test, put a bit of vinegar on it. If you put a drop of vinegar on a magnesium casing, give it a little scratch, it'll fizz. If you put it on an aluminium casing, it doesn't fizz. So the outer casing was magnesium, but the inner engine casing was aluminium. So I've made a little bit of aluminium there. I welded that in. Not going to say it's the best welding ever, but should be strong. So it's welded in, and then I've gone across the top with a milling machine just to flat that back off again. So should be all good. Well, I've been doing some painting of the engine today as well as the bike. These bits are all looking lovely and shiny now. Got the exhaust and the cylinder and cylinder head. Spent some time doing the edge of the fins and things. Looks nice. So just before I order some parts, I'm just checking the bore for ovality. That's looking pretty good. And my bore gauge in there, and that measures up no ovality at all. That's perfect. It is actually on a plus 20 piston, so I don't think it's done a lot of work on that piston. But this bike has always been a smoker. So I think probably new piston rings anyway. The ring gaps measure up fine, but there is, I don't know if you can see, some sort of pitting on the rings, I think because the bike sat for so long in the past. Maybe that's it. Don't know really. As yet I haven't really found anything wrong to tell me why the smoking may have happened. But there's a good chance to give it a birthday anyway, as we found yesterday. It needs lots of bearings. We'll get them done, order some bits and bobs, and we'll get it back together. Right, we're just at the point where I'm about to put the crank in. All nice and clean, got all the new main bearing on that side, got all the other new bearings in, bit of build oil in there. So gearbox is clean, gears are clean and back in there, all the shims in place. So the crank's in the freezer at the minute to make it fit in the bearing a bit easier. So I've got to warm up this case in a minute so that bearing slots in there, and hopefully they'll all go together happily. And I'll come back to you once they're together. Right, there's a bit of a battle, bits together. I had some problems because I got this side of the casing so nice and hot that as I was trying to drop it onto this side, the other bearings were dropping back out. But at least I got it nice and hot enough that the main bearing went in nicely. The crank stayed cold for a while because it'd been in the freezer for ages, so that all worked out quite nicely. Yeah, now I'm going to go have some dinner. I'm going back to this tomorrow. Okay, got everything together on this side, got clutch on, gear shifter linkage in. I think I got all the gears, that's all back together there. And on the other side we've got final drive, got a crank seal on, kickstart in, everything's good there. So pistons in, new rings. Sounds like it's got some good compression already, even without the head on. Before I put the head back on, I'm going to do the ignition timing because it's going to be a lot easier to see where top dead centre is without the cylinder head in the way. And then, yeah, side covers on, fluids and back in hopefully. Right, got the DTI set up now on top dead centre. I need to set the ignition time in so the point's open 2.7 millimeters before top dead centre. Okay, here it is, all done. Gear oil's in, clutch oil's in. All back together, new gaskets, ready to go. Next step, we'll get it in the bike and then I'll do a video of the first start. Hopefully first start anyway. Here's the bike all painted up. Even put some new Michelin stickers on the forks. Hammerite red, pretty good colour match. It's painted to about there, it's very similar to colours to that, so It's not going to win any concourse events, but looks a lot better. Right, here it is, all ready to go. Got a new carburetor inlet on, new airbox rubber. It's all looking good. So now we'll see if it starts. Well, there we have it. Seems to be running okay now. Hopefully I'll give it a proper run at the weekend. I can't really ride it much just around my garden, but I'll go off and give it a bit of a run in at the weekend, see what it's like. You heard on the initial startup there, I had a problem with the kickstart ratchets staying engaged. I think what had happened is when I stripped the crankcase halves, obviously all the bits and shims and things just fell out all over the place as they do. No manual for this, so I struggled a little, but you've got the inside the gearbox here, you've got two sets of kickstart ratchets, one off this shaft here and one there. They're on a spring pushing them together so that you get the ratchet when it comes back up, and then on the back of that there's a cam and there's a bolt goes in the gearbox this side here that pushes in on the cam, so as it comes back up towards the top, that cam then pushes those ratchets apart, so that when it's sat in the return position on the stop, the ratchets aren't engaged. I had set that in what I believe is the factory position, but there was a bit of wear on the cam, so I suspect that last time this engine was taken apart it would put round one notch to move it slightly further apart. So what I've had to do is change that bolt there from the factory one is M8 thread but with a smaller end. I've had to put an M8 stainless bolt in there just to push that out a little bit further. That seems okay now, no longer catching, still got a kickstart, so I don't think we've done too much damage. So yeah, I think we're all okay. Just got to adjust the chain still, and then I'll next thing I'll report back after I've given it a bit of a run.